And I know right now, I got my pastors over here to help, but I want to know also from a single perspective, how is it if you are a man and you're looking to date? What is the consideration for a mom that is single that has multiple kids, or even just one kid? Marvin or Brian, whoever, whichever one.
In my new season, since I'm transitioning to a more mature man, I know now in this season that love is more than just attraction. For a man, it's a real responsibility. And so as a man, I'm always checking my capacity to meet a woman's need. You understand, in my alignment. So that's, just to be honest, it's an extra layer. Because that is just not the kid. It's my relationship with the kid, my relationship with how the mom feels like my relationship should be with the kid, and her relationship with the kid's father, and my relationship with the kid's father, and that thing is layered.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And so it does add another layer to it, but that doesn't cross you out, because a man who really looking for a woman is checking your character.
Yeah.
And if he finds you, he'll be like, well, they just missed out. I got my blessing.
That's good. I want to ask, I want to get some knowledge real quick from the married men. How does a woman approach that when she is a single mom? She is looking to be able to date again, to be in a relationship again. What does discipline even look like that? What does it look like for a mom that now is trying to date? She has this kid. You all are trying to have a relationship with the child. You all are getting serious. What does disciplining a woman's child that you're not necessarily, you're not the father yet, you're dating, what does that, like the dynamics of that? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think I definitely understand what you're trying to say. I think when it comes to that, they can speak to it too. But when it comes to that, I think the first thing got to be developed is the man got to develop trust with the woman. So when trust get developed with the woman and the woman begin to see he loves me for who I am, I believe this is, we're about to take this to a level. And I think you immediately start talking about that, right? See, because this is the kicker. If you trust him to be with him and you trust him to lead you,
good, sir.
You got to be willing to trust him to realign your son or your daughter. Right?
That's good.
So now you start going into a whole nother level of trust, right? Because the first thing a person say, ain't nobody saying nothing to my son, ain't nobody saying nothing to my daughter, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's really disrespect to a man. Yeah, if he's called to lead and if he's called to pour into him, because the truth of the matter is your child is about to be the fruit of his vision, of his wisdom, of the revelation that he's about to pour in. So now you saying that you want him to sow seeds into you, but you don't want him to sow seeds into your child. And the dangerous part about that stage is where it gets scary at is that when you love him or when you start liking him real, real heavy, and then that conversation come in and it don't flow like you expecting it to flow, like you can't say nothing to my child. Now you cannot forget that this man is still single and he have a thing called freedom of choice. And in the freedom of choice, this means he can be like, man, it almost made it, but this child issue is going to be a real issue down the line. Yeah, and if you can see farther than your eyes can see, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like that's why he right. When you start talking about an extra layer of things, you got to count the cost.
I dealt with that personally, and when I was married, and just being real transparent with this, healthy people develop healthy relationships. When there's not, love is yes and love is no. And I know mamas, y'all nurturing and y'all love y'all sons. But as I was educated for 13 years, I coached, mentor a lot of kids and work with them in the mental health field now. Are you raising who you would date? Are you enabling, just talking about the sons right now, are you enabling your son? Because now we start talking about the fruit of what we're producing and how they're going to go out into the world. There's a difference between raising a child and existing with your child. And when you have a man that comes into your life and you say that I love this man, I'm going to have a child with this man, I'm going to allow this man, we're going to come into covenant. I have to allow this man to mold him and shape him. Because truth be told, there are things innately that God has given men and given women that men can see and that women can see. And there are things that you have to be able to let go of that steering wheel, because that's faith. That's a healthy soul, a mind, will, and emotions when it comes to parenting, mind, will, and emotions when it comes to your spouse, mind, will, and emotions when it comes to handling your family members.
Yeah.
So y'all have to have and I caution the men and I caution the women, y'all got to really be serious about what the implications are, because don't jump in the water and expect not to get wet.
Yeah.
You know,
God.
So good.
and that was a major issue. So you have to be willing to develop that, and it takes time, and it takes trust, and it takes intentionality, check-ins, having the humility that when he says, I need you to trust me, what that really looks like. And that's going to be a consistent thing that you're going to have to do. Why? Because your children are following your leadership.
Yeah.
When you go into a relationship, the other person is a stranger. So if you sassy or you disrespectful or you're not trusting towards them, that energy is going to filter out on them children, and you're going to create a hostile environment. So now every time y'all get in an argument, it's y'all versus him.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that's a dangerous place to be in, because now you're talking about the functionality of your young boy or your teenage boy, because he already got to deal with the fact where I grew up. I think I love my biological dad and I love my bonus father. I think I never seen my mama disrespect him. I never seen her create a divide within the household, and that was so powerful because she was rearing us in how to love on him as well. So that environment has to be safe, because your children are still looking at it like, who is this guy?
Right.
You know, and the truth be told, sometimes you might look at it, no matter how much the love to show, somebody they might be thinking, why my daddy don't want me? So you have to create a safe environment and do not put poison into it, because if you take a drop of a cup of water, you put a little drop, it continues to filter through that.
Yeah.
So it has to be a safe, consistent, and loving environment.
The next, let me ask you this. The next is another layer of this question that I'm getting. It's coming clear as day, right? Let's say that the woman does say, oh, man, we're going to work together. You can discipline it. But then his or her father on the other end, when they leave home and go with the daddy, they come back to the house. You ain't none of my daddy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because the issue then is outside of the house.
Yep.
Because what's happening inside of the house is y'all have gotten on the same page, but the child has left outside of the house and went to his biological dad. Or his biological mom, or whatever it may be. And they come back in the house. Now when they come back in the house, now they bucking because they got information from another source. Yeah. How do you handle that?
Been there. And that's where safety, communication, and setting a standard comes in. The standard is the standard. We're going to have grace, and we're going to love, and we're going to lead. I think the most mature thing is a lot of people want to hide who they dating, especially when it's getting serious, somebody in the house that you're married to them. I think y'all should meet. I think there should be a conversation. I think we should be able to sit down man to man and have a conversation. Hey, what does discipline look like to you? But guess what? You ain't always dealing with people who are able to process or mature enough to do that. The standard for your house is the standard for your house. And as long as you and your spouse are a united front, can't nothing come between it. But y'all have to be consistent. Y'all have to be consistent through the flow, the ebbs and flows of whatever's going on in that relationship, because the children are going to have to latch on to that. Because innately, like kids, a lot of them that act a fool, they really just want love and don't know how to express themselves. Right. And I truly believe love is the strongest force. Be consistent, be intentional, be deliberate, be loving, be patient, be kind. Hey, the standard is love, not just for your spouse, that's for your children. And you're going to have those different stages, but you got to be consistent. You got to stay in that. And y'all have to have a standard. And you can't allow a child to divide. And you can't allow some hate on the outside to divide. Y'all have to be a united front. That is the only way y'all going to be able to work through that. But that's a big conversation you need to have on the front end.
Yeah.
You got to have that. What does discipline look like to you?
Yeah.
What does love, what is correction?
I want to add something, ladies. I want y'all to, if you're journaling or if you have this in your phone, to the ladies with children that are looking to date, I want you to sit with this question with God, and I want you to ask the Holy Spirit, why would I date and become serious with a man that I don't trust to really help lead my child? I really want you to ask yourself that question, Why would you get serious and even get intimate and be with a man and allow him to enter inside of you, to be in a relationship with you, but you do not trust his judgment to help lead your child? Because I think that goes back into a deeper womb about maybe you are choosing from a place of loneliness and you haven't really done the work of rebuilding your life in a healthy way. I think that's a question you need to sit and ponder on. We'll start with the question right here.